Achilles!
Seeing Achilles charging at full speed, Boagrius snatches up a spear and hurls it, vowing to nail Achilles to the ground. However, Achilles catches the spear mid-air with ease. He throws a second spear, but Achilles dodges it just as effortlessly. Seeing Achilles closing the distance, Boagrius hurriedly draws his sword. He cannot believe it. As a warrior who is 1 in 10,000, he is being defeated so cleanly and decisively. But being a top-tier expert is merely the entry requirement to face Achilles. Achilles arrives at the front of the enemy lines and shouts,
Is there no one else?
The enemy soldiers understand that stepping forward in this situation is undoubtedly a death wish. Achilles exudes an aura of dominance, which shocks the opposing king. The king voluntarily offers the short sword representing his power, hoping Achilles will pass it to the king of kings, Agamemnon. But Achilles' answer is,
He's not my king.
This is the epic masterpiece Troy, released in 2004, detailing the story of the fall of the legendary homeland long renowned in Roman lore. In 1193 BC, the Western world is dominated by two powerful civilizations: the Greek Federation, formed by numerous kingdoms, and Troy, located in what is now Turkey. To ensure peaceful coexistence between the civilizations, Troy sends two princes to the Greek city-state of Sparta, hoping to establish peace with the entire Greek Federation through the Spartan king, Menelaus. Troy chooses to start with Sparta because Menelaus's brother, Agamemnon, is the king of kings of the Greek Federation. Agamemnon is warlike and highly aggressive, whereas Menelaus longs for peace, making his role crucial. As Troy hoped, Menelaus happily hosts the two princes, Paris and Hector. He believes that with his mediation, Greece and Troy can coexist peacefully and become the two shining pearls of the era. However, while Menelaus is giving his speech, he is unaware that Paris is staring at his wife, and Helen also has a strong affection for the handsome Paris. Next comes the dancing and celebration. Helen feels bored, so she leaves the banquet to return to her room. Paris, who has been watching her, follows her upstairs. Hector notices this and stands guard at the staircase to prevent anyone else from going up. On the second floor, Paris has already entered Helen's chamber. With just a single touch, Helen completely surrenders. Half an hour later, Paris comes downstairs. Hector immediately confirms the affair between him and Helen. To avoid causing an incident, he decides they will set off to return to Troy the very next morning. But on the journey back, Paris approaches him and guiltily asks if Hector loves him. Hearing this, Hector knows it is something serious and sternly asks, "What stupid thing have you done now?" Paris then leads him to the ship's cabin. The one thing that should never have happened has happened. A woman reveals her face from under a worn cloak. It is Helen. Hector is furious. He knows this will undoubtedly destroy the peace alliance with Sparta. Menelaus will likely unite with Agamemnon to mobilize all of Greece to attack Troy. He furiously scolds his brother, but what's done is done. Sending Helen back to Sparta now would be of no use. Coupled with Paris's bitter pleading, Hector has to make a decision. Meanwhile, in the Spartan palace, Menelaus is holding a knife to a handmaiden, interrogating her about Helen's whereabouts. A fisherman then informs him that Helen has run away with Paris. Menelaus's rage is unimaginable. He immediately sets off for Mycenae to find his brother Agamemnon, hoping his brother will help him kill the adulterous couple and raze Troy to the ground. As the leader of the Greek coalition, Agamemnon has long wanted to claim Troy for himself to dominate the Aegean Sea. He immediately decides to launch a military expedition against Troy. However, for Agamemnon to win, he needs the full support of Greece's greatest warrior, Achilles. But Achilles is arrogant and looks down on Agamemnon, the king of kings. So, Agamemnon has to ask the eloquent king of Ithaca, Odysseus, to help persuade Achilles to fight. When Odysseus finds Achilles, he is teaching his cousin Patroclus how to use a sword. Catching a glimpse of someone entering his territory out of the corner of his eye, Achilles snatches up a spear and throws it. The spear buries itself in a tree trunk, startling Odysseus. Odysseus dismounts and explains his purpose. Achilles states he will not fight for Agamemnon, a tyrant with no honor or credibility. Odysseus had guessed this outcome. Knowing Achilles values glory above all else, he explains that this war will be unprecedented in scale, shocking the world and being remembered for eternity. He then mentions Hector, saying Hector is Troy's fiercest warrior, a match even for Achilles. Achilles immediately becomes interested. Hesitant, Achilles visits his mother. His mother gives him a prophecy. If he does not go to Troy, he will have a peaceful and happy life. But if he goes to Troy,
you'll never come home.
Ultimately, Achilles chooses to fight. 1,000 warships carrying 100,000 Greek warriors begin their mighty advance toward Troy. Meanwhile, inside the city of Troy, everyone is cheering and celebrating the safe return of the two princes. Because of his doting love for Paris, the king of Troy accepts Helen without reservation. He believes Troy's walls are strong enough to withstand 10 years of attacks. But just to be safe, Hector sends a large number of soldiers to build various defensive fortifications along the coastline. If the Greeks dare to come, this will be the first line of defense. Early the next morning, the warning bells ring in the city. Hector looks out and sees the sea covered with countless Greek warships. Helen never imagined the consequences of her elopement would be this severe. The soldiers on the beach urgently take up formations, and the archers move into position. Meanwhile, on the Greek coalition side, Agamemnon stands at the bow of his ship. Suddenly, he discovers a black-sailed warship actually ahead of him. He asks and learns it is Achilles. Achilles, leading only 50 men, intends to take the beach of Troy. For such an impossible task, a pre-battle speech is essential. On the shore, Troy is fully prepared with melee barricades and ranged fire arrows. As Achilles' ship lands, the battle erupts instantly. Troy's archers are the first to attack. The warriors Achilles brought have no time to dodge and fall to the arrows. The lieutenant yells for everyone to get off the ship, but the arrows continue to rain down. Achilles organizes the warriors into formation. Soon, they build a shield wall and begin to advance step by step toward the Trojan line. Seeing the distance is right, Achilles gives the order. The warriors quickly scatter, rushing forward to engage in close quarters combat. The Trojan archers are instantly rendered helpless. Achilles takes the lead. The spear and shield in his hands are ferocious weapons. He breaches the defense on the coastline, successfully opening a gap. Agamemnon, watching from the sea, feels no joy, only fear that Achilles will steal his glory. The others see this and row faster, all wanting to grab military credit and win honor under Achilles' lead. Under Achilles' godlike power, the Trojan soldiers are defeated and quickly flee back into the city. Achilles routs the Trojan soldiers and quickly arrives in front of the temple of Apollo. He tells his brothers to enter the temple and take whatever they want. As for the statue of Apollo at the entrance, ignoring his lieutenant's warning, he cuts off the statue's head with a single strike. Just then, he sees a squad of cavalry charging in fast, led by Troy's greatest warrior, Hector. Achilles tells his lieutenant to notify the others, while he takes a spear, aims slightly, and throws it. This strike truly startles Hector. As he gets closer, Hector also throws his spear. But the spear, flying from a distance, is weak and easily dodged by Achilles. The two great warriors face off for the first time, and the difference in skill is apparent. Achilles' ferocity successfully plants a seed of fear in Hector's heart, but for the sake of Troy, he must risk entering the temple. Achilles' men are lying in wait on both sides. The battle triggers instantly, and blood flows like a river inside the temple. Hector fights his way out, seeing all the temple priests brutally murdered, and is filled with rage. He spots Achilles and immediately chases after him. But by now, the Trojan soldiers have been slaughtered, and Hector is surrounded by Achilles' men. However, Achilles does not kill Hector right there. Instead, he lets Hector leave, saving him for a fair and open duel in the future. In this battle, leading only 50 soldiers, Achilles completely crushes Troy's coastal defense line, raising his status in the hearts of the Greek warriors to a new height. The Greek coalition quickly sets up camp on the coastline. Achilles also receives his own spoils of war, a beautiful and pure priestess, Briseis. Achilles falls for her at first sight, but before he can do anything, he receives a summons from Agamemnon. Agamemnon's goal is simple: to suppress Achilles' fame and take all the spoils Achilles seized for himself. Achilles does not care about material possessions until Agamemnon has the priestess brought up. Achilles cannot tolerate this and draws his sword. Unfortunately, the priestess is ungrateful. She calls his top-tier combat talent a curse of murder and hates him for killing her people. Rather than letting Achilles create more slaughter, she would rather be mistreated by Agamemnon. This delights Agamemnon, who mocks Achilles for being rendered speechless by a captive. Furious, Achilles curses him. Meanwhile, inside the Trojan palace, the ministers are divided into two factions. One faction wants peace, believing Paris caused this and should solve it. The other faction wants war, believing that under Hector's leadership, Troy will not fail. Hector knows the difficulty of this war well. With the Greek coalition led by Achilles charging the lines, winning will be harder than ascending to heaven. Paris, usually cowardly, instantly understands. He voluntarily steps forward, proposing a fair one-on-one duel with Menelaus to potentially settle the war. The next day, the Greek coalition arrives in front of Troy. Achilles, due to yesterday's conflict with Agamemnon, does not join today's siege. Before the two armies, Paris voices his idea for a duel. Regardless of who wins between him and Menelaus, the Greeks must withdraw, and the winner takes Helen. Menelaus agrees. At the same time, Agamemnon is plotting. Once Menelaus kills Paris, he will order the siege and take Troy in one fell swoop. The duel begins. Menelaus looks down on Paris completely, discarding his shield right away. He uses an all-attack, no-defense style, leaving Paris with no way to fight back. Under the absolute disparity in strength, Paris loses his armor and weapon. Like a small chicken, he throws an angry punch, finally drawing a little blood from Menelaus. But this completely enrages Menelaus. He slashes Paris's thigh, beats him until his nose bleeds, and finally holds the sword to his neck. According to the rules of the duel, Paris is certain to die. But seeing the sword raised high, Paris is terrified and flees.
Is this what you left me for?
Menelaus chases him to finish him off, but Hector suddenly draws his sword and stabs it through Menelaus's body. Poor Menelaus. He did nothing wrong. He even supported peace with Troy initially, yet he meets such an end. Seeing his brother die miserably, Agamemnon immediately orders a full charge. Although the Greek coalition numbers 100,000, the Trojans are fully prepared. The Greeks have to endure a rain of arrows, suffering massive casualties. When they finally get close, they encounter the elite troops led by Hector. In the chaotic battle, Hector faces Greece's second greatest warrior, Ajax. Although Ajax is not as strong as Achilles, he is still more than Hector can handle. Ajax simply swings his shield, knocking Hector and his horse over. Hector picks up a sword, only to be attacked by Ajax's long hammer from a distance, forced to dodge repeatedly. Finally seeing an opening, he swings his sword, but Ajax's hammer locks his body, making him unable to move. In desperation, he headbutts Ajax, buying himself a breath of freedom. Hector grabs a spear, but before he can use it, Ajax's iron hammer falls. He blocks it with a shield. As Ajax moves the shield to check, Hector stabs the spear into his body. Achilles, seeing Ajax fall, is anxious, but still refuses to take the field. He is still angry that Agamemnon stole his beloved woman. On the battlefield, seeing Ajax dead and Achilles absent, the Greek coalition is beaten back repeatedly by the Trojan army. Seeing the situation is dire, Agamemnon has to order a retreat. The defeated Greek coalition suffers from low morale and infighting begins. They believe that without Agamemnon asking Achilles to return, the war is lost. Helpless, Agamemnon returns Briseis to Achilles. But Achilles still does not plan to fight. He prepares to take Briseis and his brothers back home. Patroclus tries to persuade Achilles, but he cannot shake Achilles' resolve. Meanwhile, on the Trojan side, people are blinded by victory, ignoring Hector's advice to remain defensive. The king decides to pursue the victory and drive the Greek coalition back to their nest. Under the cover of night, the Trojan army launches a surprise attack. They first use fire arrows for a wide area sweep, then push balls of dried vines down from the high hills. Ignited by the arrows, the vine balls become unstoppable fireballs. The Greek defensive line is instantly broken, and they scatter in all directions. The imposing Hector leads 50,000 Trojan warriors, closing in on the enemy step by step. Without Achilles, the Greek coalition is dispirited and shows signs of collapsing without a fight. Just then, Achilles arrives on the battlefield with his elite troops, instantly boosting Greek morale. However, when the fight starts, Hector finds that Achilles' combat power has dropped severely. He lacks the oppressive force of their first encounter and is even decapitated by Hector. Everyone is stunned. Hector steps forward and removes the helmet, discovering it is not Achilles at all, but his cousin Patroclus. This will inevitably invite Achilles' revenge. Out of honor and guilt, Hector immediately orders a retreat. The news quickly reaches Achilles. After holding a grand funeral for Patroclus, Achilles reaches a brief reconciliation with Agamemnon, decided on revenge against Hector. Hector knows he is in deep trouble and settles his affairs in advance. Soon, Achilles arrives alone at the walls of Troy to challenge him. Hector bravely accepts the challenge. Before the fight begins, he asks Achilles that whoever wins should allow the other a proper funeral. Achilles says nothing, only removing his helmet. The battle erupts. Achilles fakes left, then quickly launches a spear thrust and a blunt strike from the right, but Hector blocks it. Achilles is surprised. He didn't expect Hector's combat prowess to be so impressive. He then accelerates, launching a downward spear thrust. The massive force knocks Hector back several meters. Before Hector can recover, Achilles' attacks rain down like a storm. Achilles' shield is different from a standard shield. It has circular notches cut into both sides. It has 3 specific uses in combat. Watch this move by Achilles. He uses the notch to attack the enemy's head. A normal shield causes impact trauma, but his causes piercing trauma, capable of smashing the enemy's skull. Missing the strike, Achilles immediately uses the shield's second feature, mounting the spear. While balancing offense and defense, he gains a wide field of view through the notch. This spear mounting method is fast, accurate, and ruthless. The only downside is the reduced attack range, as the spear is no longer an extension of the arm, so Achilles needs to get close quickly. When Hector retreats in time, Achilles settles for the next best option. He uses his spear to knock Hector's shield. Then, using the top of the notch as a fulcrum, he spins his body, driving the spear in a sweeping side strike. Then comes a spear thrust. When the spear is clamped, he uses a shield bash. Hector ducks just in time, escaping disaster. Here is a brief note. Ancient Greek heavy infantry carried a short sword as a secondary weapon behind their shield, in addition to the round shield and long spear. Back to the fight. Hector tries to draw his sword but is interrupted by Achilles. Fortunately, he successfully uses his shield to snap Achilles' spear and manages to draw his sword. At this moment, we notice Achilles draws his short sword with exceptional ease. This is the third characteristic of his shield, the exposed sword draw. As long as Achilles wants to draw his sword, even if the shield is on the ground covering it, he can draw it quickly, truly achieving a 360-degree blind spot-free draw. This is something a standard shield cannot do. Hector tries to attack Achilles' heel, but fails to break his defense. Instead, Achilles sees an opening and slams his shield into the center of Hector's round shield. Hector is knocked back again. After adjusting, he attacks again. Hector's stamina is severely depleted, while Achilles fights with increasing courage. Soon, Hector takes an elbow strike from Achilles right to the face. This time, Achilles gives him no chance to breathe. Surprisingly, Hector manages to slash Achilles. Although it only hits the armor, it gives him hope of victory. With this strike, he successfully stabs into Achilles' body. The king of Troy is thrilled. But when Achilles lifts his arm, it is revealed that he has actually countered Hector. Achilles kicks Hector away, and Hector trips over a stone. If Achilles pursues now, Hector will surely lose. This makes Hector's family extremely nervous. But Achilles does not take advantage of the situation. Instead, he discards his shield, abandoning defense to go full offense. Hector picks up a broken spear to boost his confidence. But now, without the shield, Achilles is even more agile. Hector attacks left and right but cannot harm him. Instead, he exhausts himself, and his left leg gets slashed. Hector is panting like an ox, reaching his physical limit, while Achilles remains steady. In the following attacks, Hector shows total exhaustion, unable to even steady his stance. Achilles pushes Hector away, giving him a moment to breathe, but only for a moment. Helpless, Hector continues to swing his sword. Achilles snatches the broken spear from Hector, spins, and drives it into Hector's shoulder. Even with armor, Hector cannot withstand this heavy blow. Hector has lost. The people of Troy cannot accept this. Achilles, holding his sword with both hands, drives it into Hector's chest. With that, Troy's greatest warrior loses his life. But being able to fight Achilles for so long proves his immense combat strength. Achilles ties Hector to his chariot and drags him around the walls of Troy before slowly returning to the Greek camp. That night, the king of Troy comes to his tent, hoping to retrieve his son's body. Achilles respects Hector greatly, so he agrees to the old king's request and even releases Briseis. But despite this, Troy still faces the Greek coalition's attack. Seeing a wooden horse toy in a companion's hand, Odysseus has a spark of inspiration and thinks of a way to capture Troy. He immediately organizes the soldiers to build a massive black wooden horse. 12 days later, news of the Greek retreat reaches Troy. The king of Troy goes to the beach to inspect. He finds only some soldiers dead from plague and a giant wooden horse. He guesses it is an offering to the sea god Poseidon, left by the Greek coalition before setting sail. Since Troy and Greece share the same mythology, the king orders the wooden horse to be transported back to Troy and placed before the temple of Poseidon. The people of Troy celebrate the victory of the war. Little do they know, Hades, the god of the underworld, is waving at them. Because at the same time on the beach, a wild dog licks the plague spots on a body, and the spots rub off. They were faked by the Greeks. Elsewhere, a patrolling Trojan soldier discovers the Greek coalition has not retreated, but is hiding in a secluded cove. Just as he turns to report, he is shot dead by arrows. Deep in the night, the Trojan guards are asleep. Suddenly, the wooden horse opens. It is Odysseus and dozens of elite warriors. The mighty Achilles is among them. They first slaughter the city guards, then light torches to signal, and immediately open the city gates. In an instant, countless Greek warriors flood into Troy like a tide. Blood flows like a river through the city. Soon, Odysseus leads a team into the Trojan palace. The Trojan general fights to the death, but cannot change the outcome. Then, the king of Troy is stabbed from behind by Agamemnon. With this, the city of Troy has completely fallen. Achilles searches desperately for Briseis, but cannot find her. However, Agamemnon finds Briseis first. Unexpectedly, a dagger is plunged into his neck the next second. Agamemnon never imagined he would die at the peak of his life by the hand of a weak woman. Achilles arrives at the scene. Confirming Briseis is unhurt, Achilles immediately moves to take her away. But fate has other plans. Paris has also arrived. Seeing Achilles, he immediately draws his bow and fires. Guided by the sun god Apollo, the arrow successfully pierces Achilles' heel. Achilles rises to attack Paris, but another arrow strikes his chest, and so, the mighty Achilles dies at the hands of Paris. Briseis flees Troy with Paris. The next day, Odysseus holds a grand funeral for Achilles. The smoke rises high into the sky, seen by Briseis outside the city. She knows her lover is in that smoke. She then joins the group, embarking on a journey to find a new home. Eventually, they settle in Italy, multiply, and gradually develop into the massive Roman Empire that spans Europe, Asia, and Africa.